Hi, this is Theresa, Mrs. Theresa 1999. And I just wanted to share with you on my channel a presentation that I did today for a foster grandparent group out of upstate New York, where I live, um, about my eye condition. And I just wanted to share it with you. Hope you enjoy it.
That at our Christmas holiday luncheon, she donated two Afghans that Katie Pico and Sue won. So she'll talk a little bit about that as well as what she does. She has a very, very unusual blindness disability that she's going to share about, and then you guys can ask some questions about as she goes along and so forth, and at the end too, about, what she is. It's very unique, and it's something that's not really heard of too much. So this is Theresa Campbell. Can you hear me?
Like you said, my name is Theresa Campbell. I was born on the very tip of the coast of Maine to a fisherman, commercial fisherman, and they found out early on that I was blind and I had club feet due to a chromosome disorder. And the eye condition that I have is called Aniridia, and basically what happens is the eyes do not form completely, and the most common sign from the beginning is that there's barely any iris, if any, and mine was so small that they hardly had anything to it. So that means some of the back of the eye, like in the retina, the cones and rods and stuff, some of that's missing. So anybody with aniridia most likely will be legally blind if they have sight. I had glaucoma severely because of the disorder. So they had to relieve pressure with surgery and relieved some of the pressure enough so that I had some vision to work with, but I've always been legally blind. My parents, being from rural Maine, they were told from doctors when I was first born that they should put me in an institution because I'd be blind and crippled and would not be a productive member of society, and this was in 1965. But they chose to take me to Boston, Massachusetts, and from that time on, they lived for 2 years in Cambridge so that they could take me 3 times a week, somewhere around there. I don't remember, I was too little, but to the hospital for help with my eyes and care, And, first we went to the eye and ear. My parents told me about a situation where they found out they were taking blood from me and giving it to another child. So they pulled me out of that hospital and took me to the Children's Hospital in Boston. And then I saw doctors there until I was 21. And then, because it's a children's hospital, I had to go on to other providers that didn't really have the knowledge about the condition that I have. Aniridia is, like I said, basically the eye does not form completely because of the chromosome disorder. So it creates all these secondary conditions like glaucoma, cataracts. I am now I'm at the end stage of corneal disease. So I lost this eye over 30 years ago. And this one is, I can see light and shadows. So I have to use a cane to navigate where I'm going. So I it can be pretty clumsy sometimes. I'm still learning. But, yeah, there's just been so much. Doctors used to line up residents in the hospital when I was growing up. My parents had to take me every 3 months, to Boston, which was a 6-hour trip one way. So I'd have to take like 3 days off from school every 3 months to go to my appointments. Because I had the club feet as well from the chromosome disorder, they had like a cart that had 2 shelves on it, like you would see in a library for books. Well, they had, just for my most recent records, they had 1 shelf for my eyes and 1 for my feet. And they had to push it around. When I would go, I'd always have 1 appointment for the eyes in the morning, 1 in the afternoon for my feet, so it was an all-day thing. And so the residents would get the chance to look at my eyes for their learning. And I used to think as a kid, boy, I must be like the most interesting person in the world. Until I was about 7, I was pretty scared of all this, probing and prodding. But I came to the conclusion that, hey, usually they don't hurt me, so I'm going to go along with this. And after that, I was fine. But when I applied for disability when I was 18, ironically, my parents didn't know that they could have been getting it all along when I was growing up, and they could have used it, because being a commercial fisherman, you don't make a lot of money. But I was 17 when my mother first applied, and they said, you waited too long, so now she's got to wait until she's 18. I was 18 years old, and they called the records department in the Children's Hospital. You have to remember, this is back when they still had microfiche, so everything was not easily accessible. And the Social Security officer said, well, we need copies of all of her records. Mm-hmm. And the guy goes, well, exactly how do you want them shipped? And the guy goes, he says, well, the guy in the records department said, do you want it shipped in crates? The guy said, never mind. But, yeah, I got married at 19, moved to Vermont for 8 years. Then my husband and I moved to Syracuse area, and we lived there for 8 years. And then we had 3 children. I have 3 sons. One is 29, one is 27, and one's 25. And 2 of those, the 2 younger ones, also have my eye condition. When I first had my oldest son, when I was pregnant the first time, they said he had a 50-50, close to a 50-50 chance of inheriting it. Fortunately, he did not. But my younger 2 do. But the thing with the condition is that it's never exactly the same with every person. It's different. Their condition was not quite as severe as mine. Their irises had more developed, some, and never have had a serious glaucoma issue. I mean, they watch for it because it can develop. But mine was right from the get-go. And yeah, I've been through countless surgeries of one kind or another. And I've learned a lot of medical terminology and stuff like that. So, yeah, pretty much the roundabout.
So Theresa. So when you talk about like your eye pressure, what's normal, what's not normal, and how often you have to get it, how's that impact it all?
Glaucoma is the interior eye pressure that keeps your eye round and supple. And there are two chambers, one in the front and one in the back, that has the interior lens separating them. But the pressure, they detect it by touching an instrument to your cornea. And when it measures above like 20, they consider you at risk for glaucoma, because the standard eye pressure is like 10 to 11. Well, all my life, mine had been in the high teens to mid-20s, and when I did have issues with the glaucoma, it would go up 30, 40, and when this eye went off the scale, I mean, literally the doctor said, when I asked him, what is the pressure? And he said, you don't want to know. He told my first husband, he said, it won't read it. That's how high it is. So, yeah. So I've had that happen a few times in both eyes. So I'm had procedures done to relieve the pressure, and consequently one of the procedures had started the process of my cornea breaking down, and that happened in 2007. So before that point, my vision was like 20 over 200. That means like somebody who's 20/20 vision can see at 200 feet. I have to be at 20 feet to see. Well, now my vision, well, before the cornea had gotten to the point where it's all pretty much shadows and light, it was 20 over 800. And beyond that, I don't think they really measure it so much, but now, I mean, I can kind of make out things, but it's because the cornea is turning to calcium. The cells are breaking down and turning into like the white part of the eye, so it makes everything look like a hazy cloud. And there's nothing very, what contrast is like very difficult to perceive.
With your eyelid and so forth, now did you practice it keeping it closed, or does it close on its own? How does that work?
In the left eye, when I lost the eyesight in that eye, it wasn't completely, totally gone. It was similar to the way my good eye is now. And I had to close it purposely because my brain was going, okay, one or the other. I can't deal with both. Okay, so for a short time, I did purposely close it, but when the pressure had pretty much dissipated out of the eye, I can't open it even if I wanted to now, unless I use my fingers, because it's not the muscle so much as the fact that the eye is not plump enough for the eyelid to be able to open. And I could have a prosthetic or something, but I have heard tell they're like $10,000 to $20,000, so that ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
Does anyone else have their eye pressure taken in the room? So they're actually touching your eyeball?
Well, they have the ones where they blow air on it.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
Yeah, but when you have a severe case of glaucoma, or you have a condition, in my situation right now, where the pressure is actually way below what it is supposed to be. The last time I think it registered at 3. And so basically the eye is shutting down, it's like slowly shrinking. And eventually it'll be pretty much like the other one.
How often do you need to go for follow-up treatment?
They usually have me come in every 6 months.
Back to Boston?
No, since I was 21, I had to start going to other providers in wherever it is I was living. Like, when I lived in Vermont, I would go to the Dartmouth Hitchcock Clinic in Dartmouth, New Hampshire. And then when I lived in Syracuse, I went to the University of I can't remember the name of the hospital, but
University Hospital.
yeah, the University Hospital off of Adams Street, I believe. And then since here, I've been living here since 2002, and I've been going to the Glaucoma Institute in Rochester.
When you've gone to different ones, do these people know your condition? Or they say, oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah, I can deal with you? Or do you have to chase people and educate them yourself?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because most providers have not actually seen this condition. There have been a few that said they have seen it before, but mine is probably to the extreme of any of them that they've seen. So
I have a question. Now, say for your sons or whatever, can they do like an eye transplant or anything to help with it? Or?
unfortunately, eye transplants are not even a possibility.
Oh, really?
Because the eye is so intricate, the nerves are so finite that there's just, and the blood vessels and everything, they just only have to work with what they have.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, because with the miracles of today, you know.
Yeah, well, I wish. And then it would probably cost $1 million, which I don't have, so.
Theresa, how did you deal with it in school?
I was bullied to some degree, but usually it was boys over girls. Girls just ignored me, or,
So it was normal bullying then?
yeah. Yeah, actually, I found out as an adult, the one particular one that I avoided the most, he had a crush on me, apparently. So I'm like, well, that's not quite how you express that you like somebody, but.
You had to do most everything Braille?
No, I have tried and attempted to learn Braille, but when I was young and I really wanted to, when I was in school, they said, when you have vision, you shouldn't learn it because then you depend on your eyes and then it's that much harder to do when you need it. Well, that was the consensus then, but they don't believe that now. And I kind of wish I had learned it, but now with technology the way it is, it's not really necessary.
Getting back to Bonnie's question about school and so forth, so how was your learning process and protocol? Who helped you, who didn't help you, what grade levels did you struggle with? Did you graduate from high school, et cetera, and so forth? But were there people along the way that helped you learn?
The teachers would assign one of the other students every day, a different student, to write things down for me that were on the board, which helped me a lot. I mean, when I was a child, I was able to ride a bike. So if that gives you any idea, I mean, I had a good enough vision that I could see, but I just had to be really close. And when I was in my mid-40s, it was slightly worse, not counting this eye, but I could still see enough to walk and get around without a cane. But after 2007, 2008, I had to start learning to use the cane. And I have some frightening experiences, like walking on a sidewalk and then having somebody almost run me over on a bicycle. I mean, I don't see them because I can't see that far away and they're coming too quick. And
They see you.
yeah, I mean, this only happened a month or so ago. And I was just going around the block, so I wouldn't even have to cross the street to get exercise. And this guy just blew right by me, and he like actually brushed up against me when he went by. That's how close it was. It never even stopped. He just kept on going.
I think what's important that she shared, which we can't imagine nowadays, but we all know when we were in school, there was no such thing as aides and assistants and TAs or any of that. The teacher had that. So nowadays, obviously, there would probably be a one-on-one with her, with that, and somebody helping. Some of the old time, it sort of touches my heart that, okay, you're going to help out, you're going to help out, and you're help. Unfortunately, nowadays, people would probably be upset about that. Oh no, she's going to do her own work. She's not going to write down his works and so forth with that. And I know, so I stress that way because just by chance, that's one of the things foster grandparents used to do. Again, the kids weren't mainstreamed as much with her. She was, before the word even came out, and foster grandparents used to actually exclusively help special ed kids with that, and then obviously aides and assistants and so forth. So your youngest son actually did have one-on-one.
Yes, he did, but because he's also diagnosed with mild or high-functioning autism. And it's more on the social aspect of, I mean, he's friendly and gets along with people, but I don't know how to explain it except for that he's in his own kind of little world. He likes what he likes, and he kind of goes from one thing that he's interested in and gets tired of that, he goes to another thing he's interested in. That's what his world revolves around, and we kind of, just know that's Josh. That's my youngest son. And,
That's autism.
yeah.
Well, doesn't OC have a special needs class for that? For him,
Well,
or-
he actually, we had him tested when he was in school, and they said he was too high functioning to qualify. Yeah, and he's actually, the reason they tested him for it to begin with was that he had an incredible memory when it comes to like music and words and things. Like he can memorize things like crazy. And he took piano lessons for 7 years here in Geneva at the St. Peter's Academy. And he got tired of it after 7 years and decided not to do it anymore. But his teacher was very disappointed because he was such a, what do you say, he had perfect pitch. When the first class I ever took him to, or, for a lesson, we were talking after the lesson, and Josh was just playing along with the chalkboard. And so we're talking, and he goes, Josh, go to the piano and give me a G. So he went and he pressed the G. And he got every single one he asked, like, except for one of the black keys, the middle keys. And he said, that's perfect pitch. And he does a lot of learning stuff on his own, like computer programming, and he makes up his own music. He does it on the computer. He He also plays the guitar, can play the keyboard. Actually, Greg can tell you when we figured out first that he had this talent, he bought him a little tiny 2-octave toy grand piano. And he was in the first grade, and he had picked out off of that by ear every single song his class had learned for their Christmas concert. And they had like 20 or more songs. And then he just had it down. It's like Merry Christmas, Jingle Bells, whatever you wanted him to play, he could play it. And it was amazing.
I think he's exceptional, because I don't know anybody who does that, but he can hear a song and he'll say, oh, that's in the key of B flat.
Well, isn't that like most autistic kids are?
Yeah, well, you're right. You know how they all have, what's
Some
the-
kind of talent.
talent and so forth, but it's just amazing because who knows that? Who knows, like, oh, that's C sharp, and then it changes to B flat.
I don't even know what these
I know. I don't know. And it's really, you can't do that with every song, but many he knows, so it's really neat. Just to finish up, and then I want you guys to ask some questions. Here's the most unique thing of all about her disabilities and so forth, and not to personally and so forth. So she raised 3 kids as a single parent.
Wow.
From what ages?
7, 5, and 3.
Wow.
Yeah, and remember, 2 of them have Aniridia as well. So it is really, that to me is the most remarkable thing of the whole thing.
My middle son also is a computer programmer, and he knows how to do all that stuff with computers. He intellectually understands how to put a computer together. He knows what it takes, but he can't visually see it to do it. So he gets help from somebody, if he needs, but they get that from their father. I mean, he was the computer whiz, but.
Theresa, the last thing I wanted you to touch upon, you know how sometimes you say you go to Cincinnati and so forth. What is unique that you go to Cincinnati for? What are you doing there? Are you helping them, or are they helping you, or is it a little bit of both?
More me than them. I mean, this one particular doctor, Dr. Holland, that I see out there, he is one of the 5 top doctors that treat people with this condition in the whole country. And he's gone overseas to help other people in other countries and things like that. So it's sort of like a backup to make sure that what the doctors locally I have are thinking, are predicting, is that when I go out there, it's like, is there any other options? And he will give me his idea on that. But they're pretty much on the same page at this point.
Now the fun stuff. Lily, can you assist her? She's going to talk a little bit about her Afghan making, and you're going to show the class and tell how you do that. Has it come naturally, or whatever detail you have. So Lily, if you want to get up there, and then she'll take out the Afghans, show what she's worked on and so forth.
I got them kind of in order. I make hats. This is one square from like an Afghan that I finished a month or so ago, and I had 20 squares in the Afghan. No, it was 20, 40, excuse me, 40. And this one I haven't even finished yet, but I've got this this in all different colors for the rainbow.
How do you can see the colors well enough, how do you?
I can still sort of see colors, but everything is kind of getting meshed together, you know what I'm saying? So I haven't lost my color difference, you know what I mean? But this one I'm working on is actually it's one square. It's gonna have 12 squares of all the same. This is gonna be the pattern. And there'll be 12 I'll put all together. And this one,
Could something be passed back because I'm also visually impaired and I cannot see up there?
what did she say?
We'll pass it.
Thank you.
Alice also is visually impaired, so she can't see them all out. So afterwards, we'll just make sure she gets closer. So she may
Okay.
need help spread with that.
Oh, that's pretty.
Lily, can you help her spread that out so we can see the whole thing?
How long did it take you to make that?
Well, I kind of have like multiple projects going at the same time, so when I get tired of one, I put it down for a while and work on something else. So to determine whether or not how long it takes is hard to say. But that first one I showed you with the little pink and purple squares, I made a whole Afghan in a month. Because I worked right at that one Afghan the whole time.
How did you learn to crochet?
I was 6 or 7 years old, and my mother tried to teach me, but more of a visual, ironically, I'm a visual learner more than I am an auditorial learner, and that's a learning curve that I'm still working on. But I had to actually have a book to read, to look at the diagrams and stuff. And my mom got me in a store somewhere, and I read the book and learned it for myself, and I've been doing it for 50 years, so.
Now, do you sell those or auction them?
I would love to, but I'm not much of a salesperson. I have sold a few of them, but usually it just happens to be somebody who says, hey, can I buy that? You know, yeah.
Is your home set up special with you and 2 other children? Just
Well, my oldest and my middle son are actually out on their own. One lives in North Carolina, and the other one lives across town in Holiday Manor. But my youngest son, who has autism, he lives with me still. He's 25. And I remarried 7.5 years ago, and the 3 of us live together. And yes, we kind of have to keep things in certain places and stuff like that. And especially like the way I set up my shower, everything has to be in its place for me to know where it is, because I don't open my eyes when I'm taking a shower, because it can get in the water and everything.
You do the cooking?
I can cook, but it's been harder since this last year. My vision has gotten worse, so and I've actually have other health issues that I have to stay away from a lot of food, a lot of different foods. So trying to go more toward vegetables and lean meat and stuff like that. I actually just stopped eating bread 2 weeks ago, and I've lost 6 pounds already.
Is your husband a good cook?
Chef Mike is a good cook. My microwave. know how to cook, but I'm not a gourmet cook, you know. But I definitely can't, I don't feel comfortable doing a lot of it by myself anymore.
It's okay. You're amazing.
Any other questions?
Just want to say you have to be, those 3 boys of yours are so lucky. You're such a supportive mom.
Thank you. Here, my oldest son, who moved to North Carolina last June, he found a girlfriend in August, and they've been together since. And every time I talk to her, she says, "I don't know what you did, but you did an awesome job." I'm like, she said she never had a boyfriend before that treated her as nice as he does.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Okay, we're going to take another little break and so forth. If you want to come up and talk to Theresa and share with her and share about her crocheting and so forth, with that you can. So give her a hand for coming today.